Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to VetNet. My name is Michelle Weisner, and I am the manager of our volunteer program here at Hire Heroes USA. Today's VetNet session is going to be a Q&A session with an IT industry recruiter, one of our fabulous volunteers, Christy. But before we get started with that, let me just talk to you for a few minutes about what VetNet and Hire Heroes USA are all about. First of all, VetNet is an online platform that Hire Heroes USA participates in conjunction with the Institute for Veterans and Military Families. Basically, we host these weekly classes online for free for the benefit of veteran service members and their families. All related to the job search. So we do classes, Hire Heroes USA does classes specifically about resume writing, interviewing, networking, and we have a curriculum of about 9 weeks that gets repeated throughout the year. And we do these classes on about a bi-weekly basis. So we're here every week, always happy to get participants. We also post these classes live to YouTube afterwards, so if you're not able to join us in the Hangout, you can always watch afterwards and receive all the good information that's there. Hire Heroes USA is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We're dedicated to creating job opportunities for military veterans and their spouses. We're basically here to support you throughout the job search. All of our services are provided free of charge to military spouses and veterans and service members. So if you're interested in signing up for our services, please visit hireheroesusa.org. Again, it doesn't cost anything to register, so we're always happy to help you at whatever stage you're in the job search. And as far as today's VetNet, as I mentioned before, we have a curriculum that gets repeated about once every 9 weeks. So today we're breaking the mold a little bit. We're going to actually be talking with Christy, one of our fabulous volunteers who works in the IT industry. And she's here to answer some common questions that our staff members have after working with clients who try to get into the IT industry and have some struggles. And I know we've got a couple people participating with us today, so thank you so much for that. And whenever you have a question, again, please feel free to unmute your mic and ask whatever question you have about getting into the IT industry, working in the IT industry, applying for those IT positions. We're happy to answer those questions. So now I'm going to toss it to Christy so she can do a brief introduction about her profession, her career, and how she got to where she is today.
Thanks, Michelle. Mm-hmm. I been working in IT for about 15 years, and I work for Health Plan Services in Tampa, Florida. And we do pretty much, we're one of the largest third-party insurance providers. So we deal with Aetna, Cigna, and all that. And so there's a lot of technologies here and a lot of data. Obviously, big data is big right now. So I just have always been attracted to IT. I kind of started as an RPG programmer way back in the day, not to date myself, but anyway. So I'm happy to be here, and I love being a part of this organization, and I think you guys are doing a fabulous job.
Thanks, Christy. That was sweet. Awesome. So I'll go ahead and start off asking some questions that we had submitted from staff members. But like I said, for those of you participating, feel free to jump in whenever you have one of your questions that's relevant for today's discussion. So, Christy, we see a lot of folks who are interested in getting into IT, and as you and I have discussed before, it's a pretty competitive field, largely based on certifications. So, are there any certifications, and I know this probably varies on the specific job posting, but what certifications do you see as a recruiter that just really put you at the top of the pile as far as an applicant?
So you're right, it does depend on the position. Like if you want to get into the infrastructure piece of it, security is really hot right now. So I would say the CISSP, and I think military personnel are ideal for that actually certification. And then to get into like the entry level, for like help desk, you want to get your CAN, and for network, you want to get, I think it's the CCIE, sorry. Update from Apple. So a CSIE, and then if you want to get into the project management, of course you have PMP, and Scrum is really hot right now. So you want to get the Scrum certification, and then there's ITIL certifications, which the Scrum is the framework of project management. So that's a really important certification for PM, as well as the PMP is huge. And then the ITIL, what it is for business processes for the service management in IT. So that's another one to get into. I think that's pretty much, it's as far as if you're into development, of course, obviously that's a whole different animal with the whole programming, so Java, .NET, whatever you're going to get into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. Thank you so much. So kind of the flip side of that is we have veterans who come out of the military, they go into formal schooling, either a 4-year program or a 2-year program, or they go in and get their certifications, and now they're looking for a job. Many times they're their first full-time position within the IT industry, and they don't have any experience, relative experience to back up those certifications or the formal schooling. So for other positions and other industries that we see, many times the experience is really important. So I'm curious how important the experience is within IT, or if just having the certification is enough to get you the job.
Okay, that's a great question. It's really going to depend on the company, but I think certifications is going to give you a heads up over the experience, because, like, if you're just graduating high school, just graduating college, you're going to have mostly college experience anyway, and you're not going to have the certification. So it's going to be very, very much similar to that. If that's, you know what I mean? It's like a bachelor's degree coming with a computer science or certification with real world experience.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
gotcha.
Yeah, you did. So for folks who are trying to get more experience, do you recommend, or do you know of clients who try and get internships first, or is volunteering ever an option to get some experience within the IT industry, kind of putting those certifications to practice?
Right now, I think companies are really loving the internships. So if you're in if you can get into an internship, that would be an awesome way to get into it. There's a lot of nonprofit organizations that need volunteer people to develop their website, maybe have some PHP experience, HTML, so you can actually even you can even go to a company and offer your services for free. And then that's something that you can put on your resume. Look, I built this website, or maybe because you're going to build servers, right, or something like that for the business. So that's a great way. So volunteering, like you said, and if you can get an internship, and honestly, networking, that's going to be your biggest bet. But the certifications are definitely going to make a difference.
Yeah. Awesome. And little plug here, Hire Heroes USA does assist with networking, and we have VetNet classes on how to network. So just a little plug there for those of you who want to learn more about how to network and how to really build those contacts in your industry of interest. Christy, I'm really interested in your experience as a recruiter. You've had over a decade of experience in the field, and I know you've probably seen hundreds and hundreds of candidates who are applying to IT positions. What are some of the strangest or most bizarre things that you've seen on either a resume or an application or a social media page that have really just made you question whether or not the candidate was a good fit?
I have seen things where they just send in like 2 sentences that say, "I really want this PHP position. Can you please call me?" And that's it.
Okay.
I would say profile pictures on LinkedIn. There's some interesting ones out there, so I would recommend keep it professional, and that goes with your Facebook as well. But most of them you just look at and you're like, did you really read the job description? Because the resume is nothing like the job description at all. Maybe even if you don't have that experience, you need to take that job description and make that experience apply to it. But not falsify it, but make it relevant. So, but yeah, there's been some interesting ones out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know we've seen a lot of things here, and again, little plug for Hire Heroes USA. Part of what we do here in our support of military veterans in their spouse is to help you with your resume. And just like Christy was just saying, it's really, really important to take the job description and make it relevant to the resume and the application that you're putting forward. Otherwise, when it gets in front of somebody like Christy or a hiring manager, they're not going to know why you're applying for the position. You didn't take the time to really tailor your application and your resume and cover letter. So that's always something that we recommend, and we can help you do that if you have any questions about it.
And a lot of times, just real quick, I'm sorry, but a lot of times you'll have to write your resume several times, and that's the problem, that no one wants to, because it's the worst thing to do in the world, right? But you really need to have several different resumes for different positions that you're applying to. But there's a lot of resources like, Hire Heroes that can definitely help you with that, and it makes a huge difference of whether you're going to get looked at or not.
Right, absolutely. That's a great point. Yeah, resume writing is never the most exciting thing in the whole world, right? But it is so important, especially when you're going after really competitive positions where there are hundreds or potentially thousands of applicants for the same type of position. So again, there are resources out there where, Hire Heroes USA is always happy to help. We've got online resources. We also pair individual clients with veteran transition specialists, so you have someone that you can actually talk to and ask questions about your resume or cover letter or how to tailor those applications. So I know it seems like a lot of work, but it's definitely worth it, and it pays off in the end. So that's a great point, Christy. Thank you for bringing that up. Another question we had from one of our veteran transition specialists was sometimes we see clients who, put a lot of time and sometimes money into a lot of formal schooling, so either a 4-year bachelor's degree or sometimes even a master's degree that's related to IT. And the question was, is formal schooling or so much formal schooling, I guess, really worth it in the IT industry since there's such an emphasis on certifications?
Absolutely, because if you don't have, you have the master's, but again, some of it's going to depend on your experience too. So you may have the master's in the schooling, but somebody has 15 years of experience on you. That person might have, trumped you with the certifications if they have that as well. So I think in this, as competitive as it is right now in IT, there's not really anything you can't do to get out there. But it shows that you are persistent, that you like to learn, and that you will go into new things. So it shows a lot that the more you have on your resume, the more you try to go after things. It does a lot for the person, right? But that's not for everybody. So I'd say especially just be wary when you are looking out for certifications. There's a lot of online boot camp certifications. Like you can get for $3,000 7 certifications in 2 days, or something crazy like that. Just be really wary of those. They need to be Cisco certified or Microsoft certified. So don't let them take your money on that. So just be careful with that.
That's a great thing to point out. I mean, so many times it's really unfortunate, but we see folks who are out there trying to take advantage of applicants and veterans in particular, and it's so awful, but it absolutely exists. So thank you for bringing that to our attention, because that's not something that I was aware that existed. So thank you for that. I'm curious if you know of any staffing agencies who deal specifically in IT that might be a good resource for folks who are trying to break into that industry for the first time.
Oh yeah, there's so many these days. It's really, IT is really the only profession right now that actually increases a minimum of 7% every year in their salary increases. And then there's new positions that pop up every year. So it's never going to go away, and I hope that all of our we get all of our workforce professionals gets more into IT, because it's really, and the college students, they need to look more towards that, so that we can be competitive in the world, right? But the thing is, I forgot, but what was the question again? I got off topic.
It was about staffing agencies in IT.
Yeah. So the local agencies, there's a lot of local agencies. You can just Google IT staffing firms. And like here we have a few that are just specific to the Tampa Bay area, and then we have the national staffing agencies. Both are just as good. Some of the smaller ones, maybe a little bit hungrier. So, it just really depends on the recruiter that you're going to work with there. But definitely Google and, call your recruiter. Just don't get with 10 of them. Just pick like 2.
Yeah. Do something and do it well, right?
Yeah, and because we actually, as a corporate IT recruiter, we use a lot of contractors. So that's another good way to get into the door. So that's a great question because, go into an agency, you can get in as a contractor. So that's a good way to get in. I just hired 4 help desk contractors. So, and not really. So I got 2 military vets.
Oh, awesome. Well, great. We're glad to hear that. Military veterans are getting hired. Wonderful. So another question that came to us was, what are some common questions that you get as an IT recruiter from candidates who are trying to get into IT? Just some typical things and the answers that you've been able to provide those candidates over the years.
The most common are some of the ones that you asked, which are what certifications do I need, and if I don't have a bachelor's, how can I get into IT, and just how can I get into IT, period. Basically, you're going to need to be networking with people. There are a lot of groups out there. Facebook even has a bunch of like Java development groups or networking groups that you can go into. I have this meeting.com that, recruiters are really competitive in the IT world right now. We will go to these PMP local meetings, Java user groups that are in this area. We'll walk in there because we need Java developers. So we go to those things. We go to all those networking events that you see when you join those LinkedIn groups. So that's a good one. That is pretty much the most common question. And then, once you get your foot in the door, then you can decide, which part of IT that you really like. Maybe you get into infrastructure, but you kind of got some database. You want to get into the database, and you kind of got to go into the SQL Server world, kind of. So it just depends on what type of IT you like. And you may not know it until you get there.
Yeah, sure. That makes a lot of sense. So another question we had was about the culture in IT. If there's anything specific to the culture within IT that you think that candidates should know if they're coming into that kind of industry for the first time.
I think I love IT. Like I said, I've been there 15 years. All my friends, I married an IT professional. It's 24/7 with me. But I think that the culture you would want to be in, military background is actually very great. Because of the organization that they have, if they can get into security or even project management, I think those would be really good fits for the military background. Database would be another one. So I think there's a lot of parallels that would be a great fit for vets to get into some of those areas. Especially, I think security is hot right now too. It's hard to get into though.
Right, of course.
But just get to that networking and get that certification.
Awesome. Yeah, yes, absolutely. So what I'd like to do now is kind of do a practical sort of behavioral question. One of the MOSs that we see constantly, and I'm going to share my screen here for a minute so you guys can actually see what I'm looking at, but one of the common MOSs that we see for Army veterans is the Signal Support System Specialist. You can see it right here, 25U, and you can see some of the basic descriptions here, what we're talking about, an enlisted soldier. active duty, obviously, and here's some of a basic overview of the job duties. And what some of our full-time staff members have seen is that, you know, a soldier will have these have this MOS. You know, they've got years of experience in the military doing this particular job, and then they'll expect to walk into maybe a mid-level or an upper-level management position within IT once they separate. And in our experience at Hire Heroes, that's traditionally an unrealistic expectation. So I know I sent this to you in advance, so I'm just curious if you can speak to why those expectations might be a little bit unrealistic, and perhaps what some of the advantages could be to starting off in an entry-level position within IT and then working your way up.
With those, the military is very organized and very structured, and I mean, it's just like when they have to come back to adjust to regular civilian life. The corporate world is really, it's more chaotic than what they're used to. The procedures are a lot different. The security, even the systems are different, and you know, you kind of have to learn that from a corporate standpoint. So I would say if you're getting into entry level, it's no different than just going through college. You really get to learn the corporate environment, their systems, their what their applications are, what they use, what their methodologies are, those types of things that you can get, and then you can, like I said, find out what area you want to grow in, because what you think you may be a good fit for, you're not, and it's really difficult to adjust, I think, from something, and I've seen it. I mean, I know guys personally that I've hired and that are friends that have, you know, come from military straight to corporate, and they're like, man, these people, like, they just need to get it together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, I want to, you know, they want results, right? But there's so much pushback from management, or, you know, the board can't approve this, but they, you know, they know they can get it done. So I think that's just kind of a hard adjustment. But I think getting in the entry level and just learning it from the ground up, from the corporate standpoint in their environment, is always beneficial.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So coming down to some of the last questions here, I've got more of a general question in regards to being a recruiter. How big a part social media plays in your job when you're looking at candidates and trying to recruit specific candidates for positions? And then assuming that it is involved in your research, are there particular sites that you like to use, like LinkedIn versus Facebook or Instagram, or any of the other more social sites?
So LinkedIn is probably one of the biggest resources for any corporate recruiter, basically mainly because honestly, we have limited resources as corporate recruiters, you know, and I understand that as an applicant, you have to do that 30-minute application and you parse your resume, but yet you got to put it all in again. I mean, 45 minutes, right? I can't just give you my resume, really. I've been through that, right? I've looked for jobs. So it's really a pain. Reach out. You wouldn't be, I mean, honestly, not many people actually literally reach out to me via LinkedIn personally. You know, look up to see, like, look up that company, look up HR in LinkedIn, look up recruiter, find that person, you know, send a connection and say, I applied for this job, or I'm interested. Do that follow-up. Not as many people do it as you think. You know, that recruiter is probably going to get back to you a lot more, and she's probably going to be more direct with you. You know, sometimes it's not her position, so she has to pass it on, but at least you've touched base with somebody for that position. So Facebook, I understand our company doesn't do it, but I understand that there are companies that will look at your profile, so make sure you keep it clean, or either, you know, don't have access security-wise. And then there's like other ones that I mentioned earlier, like aboutme.com, which I've personally had to put in an application, and they wanted to me to link my About Me profile up there. And there's a couple more like that I can't remember. But professional-wise, LinkedIn is probably going to be your best bet. Put your resume out on Indeed.com. a lot of companies, a lot of the smaller companies that don't have the LinkedIn resources or any career builder, because it's expensive to get a contract with them, right? Or $300 to post a job. So a lot of the smaller companies, when you're first starting out, would be a good place. Even Craigslist.com is a good place to search for jobs. It's a great place to start. Indeed.com, we search resumes there. Think about, we have limited resources, so we have to be creative too. And then again, like I mentioned earlier, because it's so competitive, we do go to those group meetings and we do join those online groups, and we are looking at your postings. So that's just, just get yourself out there in that social world. So, and always, have a professional picture too. So don't be like me and have your bunnies on your Google profile.
Yeah, so I think a theme that you guys are hearing in today's VetNet is the importance of networking, and especially in an industry like IT, you really need to make those connections. And Christy mentioned a few things, reaching out to recruiters on LinkedIn, finding staffing agencies in your local area, attending professional events. Those are all really important tools to building your network and getting your foot in the door. And so many times we see clients find success in the job market because they've connected with someone, or they had a conversation, they kept in touch, and it ends up paying off. And networking is very much relationship building, so it's not the kind of thing where you see instantaneous results or instantaneous gratification. It's about building those relationships and really showing people that you do have attention to detail, and you are professional, you do reach out, you are considerate, things like that. So a constant theme. Sorry, go ahead, Christy.
No, I'm sorry. I was just, I've received many LinkedIn, and I've gotten their resumes, and I'm like, no wonder you haven't gotten a position. So I rewrote the resumes and I send it back to them and say, this might help you out a little bit better. So you reach out. You never know who you're gonna, what recruiter's out there and that's gonna help. I mean, unfortunately, I love to write resumes. I'm one of those weird ones. So look me up. I'll do it for you.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wouldn't say that most recruiters are like Christy. She's incredibly nice, but yeah, I mean, her essential message is you never know what someone is going to say, and the worst thing that happens is you reach out to someone on LinkedIn, try and make a connection, introduce yourself, and they don't respond, right? So you're not losing a lot in terms of risk. So it never hurts, and potentially you're getting a whole rewritten resume. So there's a lot to gain out there. We're coming up on the 30-minute mark, so Christy, I really have only one last question for you, and it's more of a fun question. I'm just curious, that you as an IT recruiter, what do you love about your job? And you've been in the field for quite a few years now, so what's kept you there? What do you like about recruiting in IT?
Oh, what don't I like about it? I love helping people. I mean, I really do, just that gratification of the getting the applicant through the process. Not just I mean, they learn a lot. So I do a lot of coaching with them when they're going through the process. But obviously, when I can make that call and offer that job, and I love IT. Like right now, we're going to be going through a project of data warehousing, and that's really exciting to me because it's a whole, we get to do like BI and all these new technologies, so it's a whole learning process for me, so I get excited about that. That's my little inner geek. I can't say enough about it. I mean, I will help I'm telling you, look me up, and if you need anything, I'll definitely, get out there and help you. I do. You wouldn't believe. It's a gratification. It's the gratification of the position and working for a great company that, supports you and doing that. So I'm just kind of lucky I get to be working here too. So, but yeah.
Right. And if they're trying to find you on LinkedIn, Christy, what should they be searching for?
Christy Kimmel. But IT, I work at Health Plan Services. But you can just put in a company name and recruiter, and that's usually how you can find any other recruiter too if you're looking for them. But for me, you can just look up my name. I don't know if it's out there, but you can put it out there for me. It's fine. It's a weird spelling.
Yeah. So as most of you can see in the Hangout, my email address is at the bottom of my screen here. So if you guys would like to connect with Christy, just shoot me a quick email and I'll send you her the connection to her LinkedIn page, and you can request to connect with her. We're happy to do that, and thank you so much, Christy, for offering to do that. Again, we're about at the 30-minute mark, so I think we've gone through our list of questions. Christy, I really appreciate your time today. You've been awesome, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy and chaotic workday to make time for us. I'll open the floor for just a couple seconds. Does anyone participating in the Hangout have any questions about IT or applying within or networking within the IT industries? If so, please unmute your mic and we'll get your question answered by Christy.
Hi, Christy. My name is Irma. I'm from Chicago.
Hi, Irma. How are you?
I just recently got my certification in CompTIA networking. So I've never worked in IT, and I'm kind of like, I don't know which way to begin.
So you want to get into you kind of lost you for a second. You want to get into the comp? You want to do which one?
I just recently passed my CompTIA networking.
Oh, congrats.
Certification, yes. So
you don't know where you want to go after that?
Right. I mean, I understand. I have no experience in this. I'm getting to know it. I'm actually continuing my studies into the Cisco networking.
Okay.
So I'm trying to see which job I should, apply for to get started, to get my feet wet.
Okay. Have you looked at like the A++? I mean the like the CAN certification at all?
I have no idea what that is.
No. All right. Well, that's a really that would be a really good start to get into the Cisco, all the networking from the ground up, like the Exchange. Like you work with Outlook doing user password upsetting, security permissions, and all that.
Right.
Active Directory, you want to get into all that. So that's a really good place to get a certification.
Okay.
Again, if you want to link in, it's email Michelle, and then I can also send you the links to some of the certifications that you need to do if you want to.
All right. Yes, I will. I'll email her later today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks so much, Irma. That was a great question. Does anyone else have questions out there?
Good afternoon. Thanks for taking the time out today. Christy, if you can tell me what's going on with the health informatics in the Tampa area in general. Actually, I used to live in South Florida. I live in the Atlanta area now, so I'm kind of interested in health.
You're cutting out a little bit, so I got health and Tampa Bay.
Health informatics. Where's that going on in your area?
Oh yeah, it's really big here. Of course, I work for Health Plan Services, which is we're in the health insurance product industry, which we have WellCare, Humana, we have a lot of universal health care. So that there's a company called Fair Warning, which has an amazing product within information security. It's really a good place. We have Moffitt, we have the USF. With the way the healthcare is going, I think healthcare IT is probably one of the hottest industries right now. So that's actually a great point. And here in Tampa Bay, we have the sun, we have the beaches, and we got an awesome community. I got to do a little plug for our Tampa Bay Technology Forum. They manage our IT community here, and they do a fabulous job. So you want to look up the tbtf.org. You guys from Boston, you come on down to Tampa, wherever you are in the U.S. We would welcome. We got plenty of technology opportunities, especially in the health informatics field. But there's also really cool marketing companies here, so there's a lot to offer. So And it's a good field. I mean, with the HIPAA and everything, it's a little bit different. You got to have some of the EDI experience, on the kind of the back end, all the compliance that you have to do with HIPAA. So I will say that if you do try to get into IT in the healthcare industry, you're probably going to they're going to want to look for that healthcare industry background. So you're going to want to at least get like HIPAA compliant. You can get a HIPAA certification, at least start there. And try to, if you want to try to get into the healthcare world. But it is a different whole with that PCI compliance that we have to do. It is different than going into a regular company. So that was a great point.
Thanks so much, Christy. I do think that we're about out of questions. I don't see anybody else unmuting their mic, so if you're interested, unmute your mic right quick and jump right in. But we're going to wrap up today's session. Thank you so much to all of our participants today. Thank you for your questions. It makes these sessions so much more interactive when we can have some back and forth between our volunteers and our staff members and the veterans and spouses out there that we're trying to assist. So thank you so much. Again, we do these classes on a bi-weekly basis, so please continue to tune in. Follow us on Google+. We're on Facebook and all of the major social media sites as well. Again, if you would like to register for our services, totally free of charge, you can do that at hireheroesusa.org. We're always taking new applicants. So if you have any questions about today's VetNet session or connect Christy or anything about Hire Heroes USA, please feel free to shoot me an email. So thank you very much for today. Thank you for your time today, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks, Michelle, for everything.
Thanks.
Bye.